I've never been in a car. Well, I've been in minor little things. I got ran off the road one time, but it was because it was raining. And then my back end got run into during ice, but it didn't cause any damage. And then this last summer, I just had a little fender bender, but it wasn't a big deal. I don't know. Dreams are kind of weird for my family. Like, my mom would get really depressing dreams and wake up and start praying for people randomly, or just pray in general for situations. And a lot of times, not always, but sometimes we would find out about stuff that happened the next day that was really bad, or that had happened in the night. And she just always felt like that, you know, it was kind of a glimpse into connection with God and a connection with heaven, because she, you know, she's always believed that originally our relationship with God was really tight, where, you know, before sin, so that we could actually, you know, he communicated through dreams maybe. So that's one of those things that, like, it's always been on my mind. And then I know that a lot of times I've woken up from really bad dreams and always wondered about that and prayed. The only time I really experienced that myself is that one day I woke up really depressed and didn't know why, and I got up on Facebook, and the situation in Japan had gotten really bad. There was a lot of tsunamis and earthquakes and stuff, and I just realized that definitely that could have been the Holy Spirit just leading me to pray. I don't see why dreams would be off limits or something like that. I don't know if all dreams are just like completely logical or straightforward prophecy or anything like that. I don't know if it's like that, but it's God can move your heart in any way possible, and if he uses, you know, your sleeping time to do that, then he can. Well, I was going to see my really good friends and have a good time for fall break. I was really excited about it because I had not been able to come to Texas last month because of just last minute issues, and so I decided to leave on Friday morning or whatever, and drive down, and everything was going so well. Like, the trip was just perfect, and I was praising God because I realized that I finally, you know, was having a good time. I was supposed to go there, and I just felt like so encouraged by it. Thursday morning, I think, before I left, like the day before I left, my mom texted me and said, you know, different things, money wasn't ordered and stuff for the trip, and then she also was like, also, you know, be very, very careful because your sister had a dream about you in an accident. She's just really worried, so just be careful. And, you know, my parents have said it before a lot of different times, and just for us to be careful because they worry a lot, and because of my family's kind of past with the dreams, it was just kind of one of those things you kind of freak out about it. And I didn't really think that much of it. When I talked to my sister that day, though, she said, yeah, it was really weird. I dreamt that you had somehow fallen out of a car or something and broken your back, and she didn't know if I had lived at all. I think she woke up before she found out. And that kind of shook me a little bit because it was so vivid, and for her to say that to me, that was kind of strange. But I think it actually did change a little bit of my mindset about how I went about the trip. I was about 5 minutes away from arriving at my destination and getting really excited and just really thankful. I'd actually already called my parents to tell them, hey, I'm already here basically. I made it safe. And I was going down this long road that is kind of in the middle of nowhere, and you go pretty fast actually on the road. I was kind of thinking, wow, it's kind of fast for that kind of a road, but I'm glad to get there. And I was kind of wanting to get there on time and stuff, but making sure I actually drove the speed limit because I've got too many tickets and it's not a good thing. The first thing I really remember about what happened was I went through this intersection. I was just going through an intersection, and all of a sudden this car pulled out in front of me. And it was that moment of like, why is this car in front of me? There's no reason for this. I have the right of way, right? But before I even could think past that, I slammed into the car, and instantly my airbags went off. The car basically, it felt like it exploded, and we actually crashed into a stop sign and slid off the road. And I couldn't hear out of my right ear for a second. There was so much dust and everything from the airbags that it was just kind of cloudy and confusing. Your mind is racing, but you don't know what's happening. You can't believe, it's almost just in shock. I don't know how I did this, but I jumped out of the car. I had a little freak out moment of, oh my goodness, what just happened? And looked back in my seat, and I saw my phone just sitting there. I was like, I have to call 911 because the other passenger in the other car wasn't getting out, and I knew there was something wrong. So I got the phone and dialed 911, and the fact that I was even thinking through that in less than 30 seconds was amazing. There's no reason why I would have done that. And then I looked into my car a window to make sure that I wasn't bleeding, because I felt like I was bleeding everywhere, but it turned out being water. Water had spilled everywhere. Immediately there was a nurse on the scene that had been witness, I guess, to the accident. There was another couple of guys that were there and asked me if I was okay. And I was just asking them, am I bleeding? Is it okay? I would call the ambulance. They're on their way. I called my mom, and the first thing I said to her was, okay, don't freak out. I've been in a bad accident. I think I'm okay. I'm fine. You know, I think my brother broke my hand, but that's it. But I wanted to first just reassure her that it's okay, and I've got, ambulance is on its way. And then I called the sheriffs, and again said, please don't freak out, but please come, because I knew they were so close. And that began just a traumatic, about 30 minutes. One of the weirdest things, I think, that popped into my mind when I jumped out of the car and was talking to people, there was a couple of people telling me it was going to be okay and stuff, and I started praying out loud. And I was actually thinking of how great an opportunity it would be to share God's love with them, which is really weird because you're in a situation. That's not something I would ever do. I'm always afraid of getting hurt. I'm a hypochondriac. The fact that there was somebody else in the car and I was worried about her, there's no reason for me doing that, but I felt like that was just a Holy Spirit moment of praying, and also just realizing that life is really, really fragile, and that God can use anything to shake you up and to get your attention about stuff. When the airbag went off, I must have been holding on the steering wheel really tight and trying to tense up to brake, and when the airbag went off, all I remember is my hand ended up like right here. The other hand ended up like over here, and it ended up closer to my head, I think, and instantly hurt. I got out of the car, and that's when I told my mom. I was like, I'm fine, but I looked down at my hand, and it was just like disfigured, and I was like, not a good sign. Again, I didn't really care. I was like, as long as there's not blood coming out of my face, I'm okay, I'm coherent, I'm talking, it's fine. I was really worried about the other woman. So I had them check it out, and they weren't extremely worried about it. They were just glad that I was breathing and alive. And I declined going to the ER in the ambulance because I didn't feel like it was something that was really serious. Turns out it's kind of a big deal. I broke it, and not only that, but it might require surgery to get a pin in it, which is terrifying. That could have been so much worse. It could have been my right hand. It could have been my whole body. It could have been the other girl. So there's a lot to be thankful for. One of the things I'm learning is, I think two of the major things I'm learning from this. One is to listen to every way possible that God can tell you things, and to give up your will. Even if you think it's ridiculous why God would tell you to give up something or to do something differently, you think that's preposterous. A lot of times God speaks through that kind of stuff. And to listen completely, because he could be saving me from a lot of damage. Secondly, when we don't listen to him, or when we do things just flippantly, or it's just life. It happens. We don't do things perfectly. Not to blame yourself for things, and to remember that God is sovereign, and that if he would have willed for it to be different, he would have. But that sometimes he allows us to have things that happen that harm us, but ultimately bring glory to him, and ultimately bring us closer to him. And because his plans are to prosper us and to not to harm us, we have to hold on to that and not be blaming him for mistakes, and realize that we live in a fallen world, that stuff happens, and it can't let it ruin our lives, because it very easily can. So I would say just trusting God in that, and letting go of your will and your ideas of what the world should be like. In the moment, it's kind of a weird mix of I'm fine, I'm living. It's almost like you don't think about that till afterwards. I thought more about, I wonder if I'm going to pass out, I wonder if I'm bleeding. It was more just immediate danger rather than just I might die. But because of all traumatic events, you have kind of a time of, oh my goodness, that really just happened. It plays over and over in your mind. You can't even sleep sometimes. That's when you realize, oh, that really could have killed me. And that kind of freaks you out a lot. And it should, I think.